With her trademark bob and dark sunglasses, Anna Wintour rules the $300 billion American fashion universe.
Anna is the single most influential individual in the world of fashion.
As editor of Vogue Magazine, she has become a celebrity herself. With a reputation as fairy godmother to some,
Anna Wintour's approval is important in anything I do.
And fire-breathing dragon to others.
I've heard names Ice Queen, Nuclear Winter. I'm sure she's demanding. To get results, you do have to be demanding.
Is she warm and fuzzy? No. Why should she have to be?
Her influence has moved beyond the pages of the glossy magazine. She's a pace setter and power broker.
She is the woman that brought fashion to big business and to the world, globally.
I don't know anything about fashion, and I don't read Vogue regularly, but I know a lot about you.
Vogue editor Anna Wintour confronted her storied reputation head-on in a rare late-night television appearance.
I read in the New York Times this week that I'm an ice queen. I'm the Sun King. I'm an alien fleeing from District 9, and I'm a dominatrix. So I reckon that makes me a lukewarm royalty with a whip. From outer space. What do you think?
Good gig.
Her gig is editor-in-chief of Vogue Magazine. For 22 years, the powerful and intimidating Queen Bee has told women what and who to wear. Long skirts or short, royal blue or navy, or that gray is the new black.
I adore fashion. I adore what it says about women. Vogue has a recognition that no other magazine has, and it's deeply satisfying to me.
Anna is revolutionary. She revolutionized the whole modern fashion industry.
Anna is someone who responds to competitiveness in a way that you wish everyone did. She doesn't get angry, she gets even.
Wintour manages her media profile carefully and declined to participate in this program. Anna Wintour was ambitious from a young age. Born in London in 1949, she dropped out of school. It was the 60s, and she was captivated by London's cultural and social scene. Her mother, Eleanor, was American, and her British father, Charles, was the hard-nosed editor-in-chief of the London newspaper, The Evening Standard. Laurie Schechter began her career as Anna Wintour's assistant.
She grew up in a home with a journalist, a newsman. There's a certain standard and rigor of work there that definitely got passed on to her and is the way she approaches everything that she does now.
When she was 20, Wintour got her well-dressed foot in the door at the newly formed British magazine Harper's and Queen. She was intensely competitive. She angled to work with the best photographers to climb up the ladder. But after 5 years at Harper's and Queen, she was passed over for the position of editor-in-chief. She left the magazine and England, and in 1975 headed to New York's 7th Avenue. Vera Wang sits on top of her own fashion empire and has known Wintour for over 30 years.
She was not Anna Wintour, high priestess of Vogue. She was my friend, and we were two girls that were looking to get something going in the fashion industry. And Anna was definitely set about going into the magazine business, and particularly Vogue.
But Vogue would have to wait. Wintour's first job in New York was at Harper's Bazaar. She was fired for being, as she claimed in a newspaper interview, too European. After a few months without work, she accepted a job offer from Penthouse magazine publisher Bob Guccione as fashion editor at Viva, an erotic magazine for women. Her fashion layouts won recognition. A few years later, she landed her first big job, fashion editor at New York Magazine.
She was a complete mystery, fascinating mystery. She wore the dark glasses pretty much 100% of the time. It is sink or swim. She tells you what she wants, and she's not going to tell you how to do it. I lost 8 pounds in 2 weeks, and it's just because it was constant.
Wintour was building a reputation for stylish layouts and a relentless work ethic.
She had a very set agenda. She has had the courage and the guts and the intelligence and the energy to do all of this.
It wasn't long before the executives at Condé Nast, Cy Newhouse, and Alexander Lieberman took notice. Tom Florio was the publishing director at Vogue and has known Wintour for 30 years.
In those early days of Condé Nast, it almost felt like a young Hollywood studio, and Mr. Newhouse with Alex just had this great sense of how to build not only magazines, but personalities to lead these magazines. The organization really embraced people with vision and determination and drive.
No one had more of that drive than Anna Wintour. She was rewarded with a job at Vogue, created just for her. It wasn't the job she was aiming for. That was already taken by longtime editor-in-chief, Grace Mirabella.
There was obviously resistance, but when Anna comes in, she's not a wallflower, and she's going to make her point of view known, and that's why she was brought there.
Wintour's point of view was not welcomed by Mirabella. In her autobiography, Mirabella described the new creative director as cold and suspicious, always working against her to undermine her authority. She wrote that she felt Wintour was being groomed for her job.
I think there were those who felt threatened. They didn't know her, they didn't know quite why she was there, and they weren't going to necessarily welcome anyone new, let alone someone like Anna, who cut quite a striking figure, caught your eye, and definitely had the attention of the major decision makers at Condé Nast.
After a 3-year power struggle, Condé Nast put an ocean between them. They offered Wintour a promotion to editor-in-chief of British Vogue. Moving up the corporate ladder brought new excitement, but it came at a tough personal cost. She moved to London with her new baby, while her husband stayed behind in New York. Anna Wintour arrived in London in 1986 and immediately began to alter the shape of British Vogue.
In some ways, she brought it more down to earth for those who wanted to maybe actually find things that they could buy, and made it more serviceable for the reader.
The readers may have enjoyed the change, but her staff was not as accepting. They gave her a nickname that stuck, Nuclear Winter.
It's a little bit the Greta Garbo thing. If you don't say a lot and don't sort of engage people, but that, then leaves the rest of the world to make up what they think is the truth.
Is she warm and fuzzy? No. Why should she have to be? Is she someone you'd like her opinion? Absolutely.
After 18 months, Condé Nast brought their up-and-coming star back to New York to overhaul their shelter magazine, House and Garden. Wintour changed the title to HG. Out were photos of empty rooms. In were lavish spreads of celebrities in their homes. Readers revolted, and the magazine was forced to hand out subscription refunds. Terry Agins is a former senior fashion writer for the Wall Street Journal and the author of The End of Fashion.
That's why I call Anna revolutionary, because, even her plan to, come in and do something that radical to an established magazine, the prospect for failure is high when you do something that gutsy.
These failures would have ended many a career, but not Anna Wintour's. Condé Nast still had other plans for her. It was the worst-kept secret in the fashion world.
There had been rumors that Miss Wintour would become the editor of American Vogue, replacing the veteran Grace Mirabella. Well, now the hot publishing story is that this probably will happen.
After 17 years, Mirabella was out. 38-year-old Anna Wintour got the job she always wanted. Her vision was clear from her first cover. She paired a $10,000 top with $40 jeans.
That signaled something new, revolutionary. This was a new editor. She was British, she was stylish, she was young, and she really had a point of view. we knew that this was going to be a new era.
In a December 1988 interview, Wintour explained what it takes to be editor-in-chief of Vogue.
That, I think, is what's so important in this job, is to have the right kind of instinct and gut reaction to produce a magazine that is of the moment, that just captures what's going on right now. I mean, that's what it is to be in Vogue.
Mirabella's traditional headshots were replaced with Wintour's fresh new look. She spared no expense on elaborate photo shoots with the best photographers.
Anna knew just how to balance our desire for escape and for beauty and for real fashion with our need to have things that are relevant to us as women, things that fit into our lifestyle and who we are and where we've come.
Once again, Wintour saw the allure of celebrities and replaced supermodels with superstars on the cover. Filmmaker R.J. Cutler.
Very early on, Anna Wintour saw that celebrity, power, global industry, and fashion were all coming together.
We had the mega brands, Gucci, Prada, LVMH. Working women became executive women, and so they needed power suits for work.
She understood the glamour of high fashion, the desire to make people dream, to aspire, to inspire, but she also understood how fashion as a business had changed.
Wintour's growing reputation captured increased advertising dollars. Ed Nardoza is the editor of Women's Wear Daily.
The advertising business can be very fickle. You have to build loyalty over time. You have to provide real value and reasons for advertisers to consistently stay in your publications, because it is one of the most competitive industries in the world.
In 10 years, ad revenues climbed from just over $87 million to nearly $150 million. Vogue's success brought Wintour increased power. Her front row appearances at fashion shows wearing her trademark dark glasses took on new meaning. Every glacial expression was scanned for clues.
And became someone very important to have at your show. When she's there, it validates the show, that the show was cool. That means that the show is like a big deal.
Vogue, under Wintour, was on a journey from magazine to brand. Success brought Wintour increased public scrutiny. In 1999, the tabloids ran with the story of her divorce and her relationship with millionaire Texas communications executive Shelby Bryan.
People gossip and speculate about her every move, but she has just basically risen above it. And I think it's a smart thing to do.
Undistracted, Wintour was focusing her attention on what was ahead for Vogue. Her answer was invariably the same.
People are always asking, well, was that your favorite collection? Was that your favorite issue? And to me, it's always the next one. It's the idea of what is to come. It's always the future. Always the future.
Most editors don't think beyond their title, but Anna thinks about the world and how it impacts the title, also how the title can impact the world.
Charles Townsend is the CEO of Condé Nast Publications.
She's involved in all aspects of the Globe brand, whether it's marketing the brand to the consumer, whether it's marketing the brand to the advertising community. You know, it's political influence, it's social influence. She manages that brand's positioning across all of those parameters.
To extend the brand, in 2003, she launched Teen Vogue. Men's Vogue and Vogue Living followed. In 1 year, ad revenue for Men's Vogue dropped over $1 million. In 2008, Condé Nast cut it to an occasional supplement. U.S. Vogue Living disappeared. Only Teen Vogue survived on the newsstands.
The brand extension didn't quite work, but those were natural and productive experiments.
She takes risks. She works really, really hard. And when life doesn't work, she brushes it off and she recovers and just tries to learn from the situation and move on.
Wintour's increased visibility and her public support of the fur industry attracted some wild confrontations.
During the height of the anti-fur movement, Anna was defiant. She was wearing her furs. The protesters would show up at the shows. She was having lunch at the Four Seasons, and someone put a dead animal in her plate.
If you're walking through Paris and somebody hits you with a pie and knocks you down, that's pretty aggressive. Anybody else would have been upset. She stood up, wiped her face. She said, "This is getting really boring." Went back to the hotel, changed, and made her next meeting.
After that, she started to get protection. She comes into the show, and she's accompanied by these 2 bodyguards. This also helps stoke the myth that she's, in a class by herself.
She dug in her stylish stilettos, never wavering in her support for the multi-billion-dollar fur industry. The more her reputation grew, the more unwelcome attention she got. The novel, The Devil Wears Prada, was considered by many in the fashion industry to be a thinly disguised and devastating portrayal of Wintour. The Hollywood version starring Meryl Streep was a huge hit, grossing over $326 million in theaters worldwide.
Get me that little table that I like at that store on Madison. Get us a reservation for dinner tonight at that place. Get me ice. Review
This dragon lady reputation is often portrayed. I think there's some kind of gender issue here. Because she's a woman, people expect her to behave a certain way. And I think if she were a CEO running a company, there would be no issue.
Wintour was now a recognized power broker with wide-reaching relationships throughout the fashion industry.
She's been very instrumental in many of the very large brands when they were looking for a standard bearer or a creator or a designer or a creative director. She has been instrumental in helping those brands succeed as well.
One brand that needed her help was Gap. For years, the company had been suffering from declining sales. They consulted Wintour, and she recommended young designer Patrick Robinson.
So I think she called me and asked just what my thoughts were and sort of gave me some thoughts about what the job sort of could look like. More from how she saw it and just as it was more personal. So it was that simple, but she was a great sounding board for me when I was thinking about the job.
Her matchmaking worked. In 2007, Robinson became Gap's new executive vice president of design.
Anna Wintour's approval is important in anything I do. It still is. She's the first still to this day that sees everything I do.
But after 4 years of lackluster results, the Gap dismissed its star designer. Wintour's interest in supporting new talent led her to create the Vogue Fashion Fund to provide grants and business advice.
You have to keep that feeder system going. Anna was really interested in making certain we continue to have more designers, which means more advertisers and more sales. So all this works together.
Everything came together in September 2007, when Wintour delivered the fall season premiere issue of Vogue. The magazine had a record-breaking 727 pages of advertising.
Anna Wintour's office.
Is anyone coming to this run-through except for me? Gotta go!
It became the subject of the hit documentary, The September Issue, a rare look inside Vogue and the demanding woman running it.
It's gorgeous. I'm not crazy about this one. This I don't think we should do. These are all horrible. She looks pregnant. It looks cheap to me. No. This type seems so large and pretentious. Looks like it's for blind people.
Anna does not look back. She looks forward. She does not doubt. She trusts herself. She requires a thick skin, but, even a thick skin has nerves under it.
She would need steel nerves in 2009.
We found ourselves facing economic circumstances through the recession that we never imagined were possible.
In 2009, the deepest recession in decades was forcing business to slash advertising dollars. Vogue's ad sales for the all-important September issue plunged from 727 pages in 2007 to 429 in 2009. Condé Nast is a private company that does not publicly report financial results. Clearly, the company was under pressure. They shuttered 6 of their magazines and cut hundreds of jobs. But their crown jewel, Vogue, managed its costs and managed to escape drastic cuts. 7th Avenue was also being squeezed by a shopping slowdown. Wintour took on a new mission.
New Yorkers?
They're always in fashion.
Always in fashion.
Her idea was a worldwide retail extravaganza called Fashion's Night Out.
The entire fashion industry is counting on you.
Thank you for coming out tonight.
It turned out that this was an unprecedented event that brought together over 1,000 retailers around the world, and thousands of consumers flooded the stores.
It was so successful that it has become an annual event.
We want to thank everybody for coming out. How y'all feeling tonight?
Wintour also stepped in to save one of New York City's treasures, the Costume Institute at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. As fundraiser-in-chief, she hosts the annual gala.
It was something that rivaled even the Oscars.
Emily Rafferty is president of the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
This last year we raised in one night, through her leadership, over $9 million, even in a time of recession.
There are other formidable challenges in front of Wintour. Condé Nast has admittedly been slow to adapt to the digital age. Now, Vogue and Wintour's future depend on it.
Any monthly magazine really needs to examine that there's demand for immediate information. How do you supply that demand?
Her monthly magazine faces increasing competition from bloggers and interactive websites that have given designers a new platform to instantly showcase their designs and simultaneously sell their products, relying less on glossy photo spreads in Vogue.
This season, Philip Lim is all about outerwear.
Wintour now shares the coveted front row with new media.
I guarantee you that Anna will change the game of digitized content. We're taking branded content with her voice to millions of consumers that we couldn't possibly touch with a magazine as an exclusive medium.
Wintour, her colleagues and critics alike believe, has transcended the medium. She has become the curator of worldwide fashion.
Anna does something almost every day. That's huge. She always has an idea of pushing this industry and sort of pushing it further and further.
This is a multi-hundred-billion-dollar global industry, and that is a byproduct of many things, but one of them is Anna's stewardship of Vogue Magazine in 20-plus years.
She's got this incredible reference point of what good fashion is and what talent is and what creativity is.
She's not here just to say whether a dress looks nice or not, or whether a new shoe is groovy enough. She's really there to encourage the entire industry. Young talent, established talent, these are all difficult balls to keep in there, but she feels that this is her duty. This is her legacy as well. She is the woman that brought fashion really to big business and to the world, globally.